Full screen.
Welcome to Game Annoy followers. This is T-Risk, subbing in for Alex Lexus, and what you hear right now is Hear Me Out. I've decided I'm going to try to do this on a Wednesday, Thursday basis, so here it is. Today I have with me Mugen Kitsuki, aka Nelson.
What's up, guys?
So here we go. How's your day going, by the way, so far?
It's going good. You know, I woke up from last night's, I guess you could say Tuesday night fights that we had a little session of last night with the new Gaming Order crew. So I'm good.
Yeah, that was a surprisingly large lobby.
Yes, it was almost full house.
All right. Well, let's get down to it. So, seeing as I have you right now, I just want you to hear me out for a moment.
Sure.
What do you think of the FGC's like current state of mind? Do you think it kind of needs to go a bit more esports? Because that's kind of how I feel right now. Things are changing at a very rapid pace compared to what I used to know concerning the FGC. Now, I'm more of an outsider looking in towards this, and you have far more knowledge about the FGC than I will ever know. So, what is your opinion on this?
Well, what do I think about FGC going esports? I feel that it needs to in some point in time because the times are happening. There's rapid changes. You see a lot of companies like, not many people know, Rick Fox, a former NBA player, is now the owner of a team called Echo Fox, which is the team of like Justin Wong, Taquito, and a whole bunch of other top players, you know, Sonic Fox, and they're doing well. And you started kind of seeing this wave of like slow transitioning in the FGC, I say about like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. But a lot of people have that mentality that they just want to do whatever they want still because that's how the FGC was brought about. It was all poverty, cursing, yelling, screaming.
Very underground.
Correct.
Type of way. Okay. Yeah, I have noticed that in the past, just looking at previous videos that anyone could look up on YouTube of just how things used to be and how far things have come now. It's a very different experience for a lot of people trying to like join the FGC right now. It is something that has jumped in leaps and bounds compared to what it used to be back in 2001. Okay. So what do you think needs to change about it? Because I feel right now that it depends on what they model themselves after. We've seen over the years how the NBA has changed for where now you have to wear suits whenever you do interviews and you can't be as rowdy as you used to be. A lot of that stuff has to stay on the court. So I think that might be something that might persist in the FGC later on. I'm not saying necessarily suits, but we have seen things where now players are starting to wear player uniforms for whatever they're sponsored for.
Right. Right, that is absolutely correct. I don't know, like, I feel that there's a lot of players that are afraid to go to that level of being super professional, like treating this as a job. And that's what a lot of players don't seem to understand. Like, esports is a place to make money. It's a place to showcase. It's a place to, you know, get a lot of potential sponsorships and a lot of different people looking at you. I mean, hey, we came to the point where we're now featured on ESPN during Evo.
Right. I wouldn't want to see someone just wearing a regular average shirt. No offense to like a player like Li Joe, where he was playing recently for Evo. But I would like to see more uniforms and more like showing just who are you sponsored with.
Right.
Because if I was the person sponsoring you, I would kind of feel insulted if he wasn't wearing something of mine.
That's correct. But there are certain players out there that are not even sponsored. They're just going off of their own merit based on like how hard they work, how much money they saved up, and they're going as, themselves. Now, don't get me wrong, you can kind of dress however you please as long as it's at a decency of a level. As long as you're not, showing ass or you're showing chest or, showing certain particular things. But you got to be still professional about it. You have to try not to curse. And if you curse, it has to be to the standards of what the companies are wanting to see and hear. Because you're going to be publicized everywhere. You're not just going to be on an internet channel. You're going to be everywhere. Like, it's gotten to the point where regular news channels has picked up certain things recently. So it's coming a very phenomenal thing, and I would love to see the FGC or the fighting game community grow more as a whole, but the people in the community has to be ready for the change, and they have to be willing to make that compromise decision in order for them to move on and make more money and to be more affiliated as like a professional player instead of just, oh, this guy looks like a bum, he's wearing like a sweater with holes in it and he's just playing for like scraps.
Yeah, it kind of comes with the territory. If you want better, you have to present yourself better.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes with anyone trying to go for specific jobs. Sure, there's some places where you could just walk in and say, hey, you're hiring? Oh, you need somebody to do that? I could do that. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll get right on it. And then there's other places where you have to show up in suit and tie and with all your preparations and portfolio in order to make sure you get the job. So it comes with the territory. If you want that money, you have to present yourself the right proper way.
Mm-hmm. That is true. You have to present yourself in the right manner and the right discretion, because that's how things are now. A lot of people don't seem to get it that competitive gaming has evolved tremendously. It's not something that we do in our backyard. It's not something we do in the confines of our own home. We've gone to play in coliseums. We've gone to play in stadiums. We've gone to play in well-known venues in the world. And we're coming up there into a serious, type of event. And they're even considering certain players that, is from the UK or from Japan or whatever. They're getting compensated with work visa where they're making salary just to play video games.
Yeah.
And
mm-hmm. I'm one that thinks still to this day that video games are still toys in some way.
They are. They're a form of entertainment.
Yeah. It's just that it depends on what level it is, because then it shifts from being toys to being something that's more of a recreational entertainment sort of thing, to where now is become a source of actual competitive play.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, like baseball and NBA, that's all stuff that children can play. But then when you reach a certain level, it becomes something that actually is competitive.
Right.
What was that I just heard on Discord? Never mind. But moving on, I would like to also ask, where do you see it going in maybe 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Do you think it'll continue on with this steady growth, or do you think somewhere along the line it may crash and burn?
Well, that all depends on the players at the end of the day, because it can keep growing at a steady rate that is growing now, especially with a lot of new people entering into the scene, whether if it's casual, whether if it's like competitive, or people coming out for the very first time to showcase their skills, that they could probably be like one of the new, gods at their game. People just have to respect what's being offered to them and not try to overtake advantage of it and then use it in a bad manner where it leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and then everything's just gonna come down falling, and people will wonder, wow, we had a good thing going. We could have been making at every tournament $10,000 to $20,000 tops, just walking out, top 8. And a lot of people don't seem to understand, like, this opportunity was given to them, and it's something that you shouldn't take too lightly of it, because there are certain games like League of Legends, you have Dota, you have StarCraft, you have Smite, you have CSGO, you have Call of Duty. All this is real competitive ESL, esports, MLG kind of things, and they get paid money. We're talking about like money, more money than I'll ever see in a year.
That is true. I looked at that for a long time and wondered how, why, but it's continued, and it seems like it's going to stay that way as long as things persist.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they even get real benefits as well.
Yeah, they get
just showing up under whoever you're supposed to be representing, you get paid just for that.
Yep, you get real benefits. Some people get health care, some people get 401k, some people get paid by the year. It's crazy how
Look
everything.
At this. People with real jobs like are losing 401k, and Call of Duty players, League players, Smite players, they're keeping theirs.
Yeah, they're gonna keep theirs for something that's so easy and casual to maintain, as long as they, go by the standards of their sponsorship and by the standards of the league that they're participating in.
Just do well, stay in good standards with your sponsor, and keep a presence.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you have to do.
That is true. But now let me ask you this. What type of sponsors would you be wanting to allow to be an acceptance when it comes to any type of event? Because we had some issues in the past where you had even porn sites trying to sponsor pro players, but in the form of that, you're coming with backlashing of what you're going to be presenting to your brand new audience. And when they hear that you're a website called
like YouPorn,
like YouPorn, or Brazzers, people instantly affiliated like, oh, there's gonna be live sex.
I think there's a time and a place for that if it must happen.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, this thing is its infancy. Let it grow first before you come out with that, or just go out of your way to make a secondary like subdivision of your company just for this, and remove the entire porn industry line from that company.
Right.
Just keep it as a shadow deal type of thing, and not try to exploit this. This is new. This is something that people are still wary about. You can't just come out with this saying that now you're working with a porn industry for something that is so controversial, because video games still have a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth when it comes to news.
Mm-hmm.
People will still blame video games for brainwashing your child or turning your child into a murderer and things of that nature, and not seeing the actual health benefits involved, like improving reaction time and improving problem solving skills and things of that nature.
Right.
So I think if it has to happen, now is not the time.
Right.
As for other companies, that is another a time and a place sort of thing because not a lot of people like the whole Mountain Dews and Doritos sort of thing that they had going. But
Mm-hmm.
I did see people kind of okay with like sports energy drinks sort of stuff. Aside from like maybe the Game of Fuel one,
Gamer
but
Fuel, you had Monster, you had a lot of different companies
yeah,
that came with that.
it just all depends on what you're trying to sell to people.
Mm-hmm.
Because Doritos and Mountain Dew, that draws to the stereotype that gamers aren't fit and that they're just slobs and they live in their mother's basement, all that sort of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that wasn't help. If you want to do that stuff, wait till later.
Right, right.
It's not like it's not like for the most part a lot of those things they were using their health foods as well because these companies do make health foods.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that they're a subdivision. Like um, I believe Nature Valley is under Nestle, so
Right.
that's a thing.
Mm.
Just just try to work with those, but instead they wanted to use their junk foods.
Right.
So I think for now it should be mostly under gaming companies so
Mm-hmm.
as someone like Capcom, someone like Namco, but also the ones that are making products like Mad Catz and Razer. They'd primarily be those, and slowly pick up the pace with food companies because they do have their place. You just have to pick and choose what you're trying to sell to people, and
Right.
then work your way up to other different industries, like the porn industry, if you had to. I I wouldn't want to hear that this term is brought to you by Brazzers or YouPorn, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my general opinion on it.
Let's see. We have something in the chat from Ghost Missile. It says that Doritos and Mountain Dew is a bounty fit for a king, though. Feels bad, man. And then he put sponsored by Pornhub. Well, I mean, again,
But believe me, I love myself a good bag of Doritos. Well, used to before they became three fourths just air. But that mix, I couldn't do it. I definitely couldn't have Mountain Doritos, Mountain Dew with Doritos. It just wouldn't work out for me.
yeah, it was just like, it happens when it comes to like certain companies trying to like put their hands in certain particular things. But as the pathway of it's leading to right now, it's a good start. It's still slow in its infant stage, but we can grow as a community as long as everyone comes together. We have some of the people who has shaped up the FGC as we consider them like the old school or legends or OGs, whatever you want to call them. As long as they keep up doing what they're doing and they keep a positive mindset and trying to give a positive outlook to what we're doing as a whole, I think we will go places. But if someone comes in there and screws it up and we start having these allegations where people are touching people inappropriately on stream, or someone's going to jail because they had a fight with someone on stream, or whatever the fuck reason it may be, you guys got to cut that out, because then you will be solely responsible for ruining an opportunity for millions of players out there. And that's something that we cannot have. So we have to have restrictions. We have to have somewhat of a control in this basis of a community if you guys want to stay in the likelihood of esports or competitive gaming as a whole. Because I love the idea that we get to get showcased by ESPN or get spoken about by Yahoo Esports or being on ESL and being invited to these free non-payable tournaments where you win a large sums of money. I love that. And it plus, in my eyes, becoming the fact that I'm almost like 30 years old, I'm seeing that a lot of the young kids are staying out of trouble by going to events like this. They don't have to be outside. They don't have to be promoted by violence. They don't have to be in a fucked up environment. They could be in an enclosed area where they're playing games for fun, but with the added incentive of getting actual money for it.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of schools now are actually having esports teams for Call of Duty, Counter Strike, and the MOBA types.
Yes.
So maybe we could see something like that for the fighters.
Yes, yes, I did hear about that. There's some schools that's been happening, like overseas, like in the UK, some of them in Japan. We have some colleges here that even have college courses on esports. So
That's a definitely a new one for me.
so we're slowly becoming in there. It's just depending on how, like I said, how the effect of the community will take over and that mindset. And as long as it stays positive, as we kept mentioning before, things will just keep going and it will just be unstoppable at that point. But I hope within that timeline of the next 5 years, it just keeps getting better. And hopefully the new generation after us can continue on and make it even better.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment there.
So is there anything else you would like to discuss on this particular subject?
Trying to think right now. I didn't really have too many questions in mind. There, there is one other thing, I guess. I would like to know, just, just where do you think like this is gonna go? Like, do you think we'll actually have our own like esports channels on ESPN, like how they have certain subdivisions?
Well, I heard that there was in the works of making a esports channel on ESPN, but they so far been using ESPN2 for now. But they said they are in the works of having their own channel because from time to time they stream CS:GO and Dota 2 on ESPN.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
This goes to show you just how little I care about sports in general.
But that's the reason why. That's the reason why it's like not always known to people, but it's slowly becoming an actual thing. And again, it's just in a matter of time before other networks like Time Warner, Verizon, Optimum, the list goes on, to start catching whiff of this and making it into their own channels. They even have apps that if anyone has like a at-home streaming device, like what you say, like Chromecast or was the Roku or stuff like that, they're having esports channels where you get to watch content live of certain games being played, like CS:GO, Smite, League of Legends, Dota, and it just keeps going on. They have premiere stuff for that, so it's actually pretty cool that they're doing stuff like this, and hopefully the developers can stay close to the people who are doing the whole esports kind of thing, and endless possibilities from there on. We just recently had a Capcom Cup, which is a somewhat of a premier event that's somewhat esportsy in a sense, and the person walked out of there with literally $250,000. $250,000. That's a lot of fucking
That's
money.
a lot of money. That's a lot of money just to sit around and press some buttons, as far as some people think it is. It's much more than that, but that's what people see when they look at games.
Right.
And I had to actually like explain to family members just what is going on. And once they realize there's actually some like science and math involved to it, that it's not just me sitting around pressing buttons.
Right. Also, Ghost Missile mentioned that ESPN's website has an esports section.
Oh yeah, I am aware of that, but I'm talking more about if we'll ever see like an ESPN gaming channel.
Yeah, you definitely will. They were in the talks of it on Twitter, and they had like a couple of events where they had like little quick commercials, and they would talk about like they're wanting to make esports into like a regular channel where they would showcase like the best gaming around, whether if it's fighting, whether if it's a Madden tournament, whether if it's a shooting game tournament, whatever it may be. They want to showcase the top of the world competition, whether if it's in the UK, whether if it's in Japan, whether if it's in the States, wherever it may lead to. And again, this could be an amazing thing, and it can also be a very bad thing, depending how the people in that field or the community, make it to be.
Do you think our commentators are going to be able to make the transition? Because we have our James Chens on one side, and then we have our Yipes on the other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a ordeal for some people.
Yeah, but there are some commentators, like you have a James Chen, you have a Ultra David, you have Sajam, you have oh my god, I can't remember this guy's name for the life of Tasty Steve, and stuff like that are like professional commentators of the FGC. But then you also have your funny ones like IFC Yipes. You also have Matrix and a couple other people that is on the mic that they may speak in a non-professional sense, but it's still good commentary because these players know their craft, they know their game of what's going on, and etc. Can they make the transition and stay professional? I believe so, because there has been time and time again where we had Red Bull events, which is considered the esports events for the Street Fighter at the time, and Yipes was on commentary and he didn't go crazy, he wasn't acting silly or whatever, he was very professional about it.
This is true. I did get a chance to actually watch that, and I was pleasantly surprised by that. Considering there are actual newscasters that do have a very humorous side to them, but can stay professional. And I saw just that much in Yipes.
Yeah, he's that type of person. He's a very cool dude. I met him several times. I played a couple games with him. He's a genuine person. It's just sometimes people may look at him from the outside like, oh, he's this ghetto, ignorant motherfucker that plays games and doesn't give a shit about nobody. It's actually completely opposite. He's real cool. What's up, Coquestria? Welcome to the little segment that we have here. It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, I haven't seen that name in a long time.
And Ghost Missile mentioned that Mike Ross did a good job at the latest big event. Now, he did. Mike Ross was a former player, FGC player. Now he's sitting there doing a lot of esports and I guess you could say like community shows for the FGC, and he's trying to still keep it around by using his expertise of promoting and et cetera, to make it go. But it's still, again, it's definitely possible as long as we have the main key people, keep rounding up players, keep rounding up different types of communities and stuff like that. We can get stuff done.
Likewise, I think we'll also see maybe an influx of new people that may have gone to school for certain things and are now realizing they can use those skills for something that they may have once thought of as just a hobby.
Correct.
Like I can imagine someone going to school for like public speaking or being an announcer or a talk show host or an interviewer, and are now using those sort of skills for the gaming market instead. And we've kind of seen that with the way some gaming journalists are concerned in the past, and it may evolve into using a bunch of other skills that you did think was going to be usable in this grand scheme of things.
Right. That is true. That is true. Things been busy. Oh, okay, cool, man. At least you're still around, you're keeping up with certain things. But, shout out to Coquestria. He has appeared on several of our podcasts in the past, and same with our wrestling segments, which we have slightly fell off on. So hopefully we could bring that back. We'll just have to, have a talk with Coquestria and also Mr. Lexus to see when we could fit time to do these events again, because personal life does take over to an extent, so we are kind of busy outside of this. But not to stray off a topic, but is there anything else that you would like to speak on within this matter?
That is definitely it.
Okay.
And I just really hope that things do improve and that they continue to go in this direction, because all I see is nothing but good things so far.
Right.
Okay. With that being said, this show is now coming to a close. Nelson, do you have anything else to say?
Just keep up with us, guys. All the social media links is on the bottom of this video feed. Of course, follow us on the Facebook fan page. Follow us on Alex's Twitter. Of course, follow us on this Twitch channel. And also subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is under Alex's name. We had it changed recently to New Gaming Order, but the URL is still existing under Alex Lexus. And keep up with our latest content, whether if it's on newgamingorder.com or whether if it's on our YouTube channel. And thank you guys for joining Hear Me Out episode 2. Shout outs to T-Risk for coming up with this show idea, presenting it to myself and Alex, and hopefully it continues on and to be more of a growing show.
Yeah. And anybody watching the show, be it on Twitch or on YouTube, please just let me know of new ideas if you have any for topics. I do have topics of my own, but I'm willing to hear people out on whatever topics that they want us just to cover in general. And it doesn't have to be necessarily anything that we have gone over with previous podcasts. It could be something entirely new. This is what this show is for. Is to talk about new subjects that we either have gone through in the past and just haven't really gotten a chance to truly talk upon, that just showed up for like about 5 minutes, going off topic, or just in general of things going on with gaming as a whole right now. So with that said, Nelson, thank you for hearing me out. The entire audience that have shown up, Ghost Missile, Equestria, thank you for hearing me out on this, and I'll see you guys later.
Okay, local recording is done. Live stream is still going. Again, thank you guys for coming out to the second episode of Hear Me Out. We'll probably be doing this most likely either every from Tuesday to Thursday. We're trying to figure out a particular date where both myself, T-Risk, and possibly Alex, depending if I'm not on, to iron things out with a permanent scheduling. Things will be changing for this segment episodes. Like, you'll start to see like new little alterations in the overlay, probably a new production setup. We're in the works of making that done. But beyond that, we may be coming back to stream a little later today. I'm not too sure. I'm about to find out what's going on throughout my day, T-Risk's day, probably some of the other members of NGO. And if anything, we may have another fighting stream. If not, then most likely we'll have something later on when Alex decides to come home and, randomly do a stream of his own. So thank you guys for coming out, and we'll definitely see you guys next time. And shout outs to Coquestria, shout outs to Ghost Missile, and shout outs for Shin Raven for hosting. Who else hosted earlier? Coquestria, thanks you for the host as well. And yeah, thank you guys for watching.